Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo, and you're watching another live edition of the LockerGnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short. Your daily dose of geek news, reviews, and answers that you can use, like an answer to the question, who am I talking to right now? Can you guess by how my voice is inflecting left and right? My inflection? Inflecting? Can I say inflecting? I'm inflicting my inflection, because my daughter Jedi has joined us, at least for the next few minutes. And she enjoys hearing me talk, which is good, because this is what Daddy does, and he enjoys doing it. So thank you for tuning in live. If you are watching live on YouTube, maybe it's on the simulcast, the podcast being posted to SoundCloud, or however you choose to listen to podcasts on a regular basis. Wrapped up a couple of rather interesting and, I think, relatively geeky videos today. Of course, they were also streamed live. A Q&A talking about my feelings about the Ghostbusters reboot with an all-female cast. And then I bumped talking about the pop vinyl series from Funko, because a lot of people collect them. I was going to cover that in CPU, but instead I decided to talk about the museum experience I had over the weekend, or specifically on Friday evening, going to that and showing some footage. In fact, spoiler alert, if you want to get kind of a sneak peek of what that video is going to be, I put even, not even alternative footage from the event in the vlog that's going to be published tomorrow, the Pirillo vlog, in the separate Pirillo Vlogs channel. It was a lot of fun. It's Star Wars, the power of Carstoom. Star Wars, The Power of Costume. It was a nice experience where you were able to go and see costumes that they used in the movies, the prequels and the original trilogy, and you're standing there inches away from, well, I consider history. Because Star Wars is, as far as I'm concerned, pop culture. And yes, I even stopped by the gift shop. I did not show this in the CPU video, so here's a sneak peek. It is The Empire Strikes Back. I wouldn't call it a comic book, really. It's a picture book. I love these types of books because, yes, pictures. 1, 2, Vader on the front, and 3, The Empire Strikes Back. Happened to be one of my favorite movies, not just of all time, but certainly from the Star Wars series to this point. That might change, because we're going to see a new series of Star Wars movies here in the coming years, and hopefully they will be awesome. In fact, Anthony Daniels talked... okay, he didn't really talk about Episode 7. No spoilers or anything, but what he said was fascinating. It'll be at the tail end of the CPU episode recorded today. CPU, stream behind the scenes in this channel for the patrons, and then everybody gets to watch the episodes in my classic YouTube channel. Yes, you can too, Jedi. Even though you're not a patron, that's okay. I love you. Tony, question number 13, because we're continuing the AMA from Friday. Monday's usually an open AMA thread, but I've got to respond to the rest of the questions that were asked of me on Friday. He says, I understand you're currently in the progress of making Geeky Creatures action figures. Yeah, to my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, I was under the impression that most action figures, such as Darth Vader, have a huge following, not because of the design of the figure, but also because of the epic storyline behind each character. Is your team of creators currently writing creative stories behind these characters as well? Yes, as a matter of fact. So the idea is Kelly Ishikawa illustrates something, and then we give it a backstory. And I think the backstory is just as important. Kind of like a greeting card. You give a, get well soon, someone feeling sick. Imagine if, let's say, Diana was plagued with, let's say...
the peacock flu.
The peacock flu. No, I'm not saying about getting sick. I'm talking about, like, real things that always happen to you. Your car always breaks down. Let's say Diana's car always breaks down. Or she always gets a flat tire. Oh, that reminds me. I have to write that down. I gotta look at one of my... Give me a second, folks. I forgot. I gotta look at one of my back tires. Look. Yeah, at back tire. Okay. So let's say she always gets a flat tire, cars break down. We design a geeky creature with that backstory. Like, you always have problems with your car. What is it? Where do these flats come from? How do your tires always get flat? Well, it's because of this creature. This is the creature responsible for always causing problems with your car. That's the backstory. So you know of a friend, oh my god, Diana's car always does this. This is it. This is the creature. And then you get the creature as a gift for Diana. Or you print out the 3D STL file for it or something. Yeah. So you've got a way to kind of put a name and a face to an experience. A gremlin, a creature did this. You can blame something that obviously doesn't exist, but would or could exist that could be responsible for doing that. Huh? Yeah. So it's got a backstory. It's fun, it's fun. It's not going to be an epic backstory or anything like that. Maybe at some point we'll get more epic, but at this point the epicosity is probably going to be at a minimum. Question number 14, the other day in TLDR, he remembered me talking about BlackBerry wanting iMessage on their platform, making iMessage a bit more cross-platform. My question is, do you use any other third-party messaging service, such as WhatsApp or Line Messenger? If you don't, you really should check it out, as it offers not only free messages, but also VoIP calls or voice over IP calls. It's already cross-platform. If you are deliberately not using anything, is there a reason why? Have a good weekend. I go to where my friends are. If I need to communicate with someone, I'm going to do it best I can. Honestly, Twitter is a great place for me to connect with people. Facebook, to a large degree. Beyond that, I'm not really communicating in ways that I don't necessarily need another way to communicate with them. You know what I'm saying, Jedi? Because right now we're all face-to-face. You, my daughter, are going to be in all sorts of apps. You're going to be like, oh, Dad, you need to be widgetawoo. What? What the hell is widgetawoo? What's the thing? What does it do? Well, you can only communicate using one word. What? That doesn't even make any sense. Yeah, but all the kids are doing it. This is the conversation I'm having in my head with my daughter about an app that doesn't exist yet, that someone's going to invent, and then it's going to get sold to Facebook for $1 billion. Widgetawoo. Okay, well, you come up with a better name then. Jose Del Rio asks, Chris, I know that Diana's family is from Mexico. Do you ever plan on visiting there? I've been to Mexico too. I have, at points in the past. So, we'll see. I leave every option open, quite honestly. Mexico, rich with a fantastic culture and amazing food.
Yeah.
And I think it's the best way to experience a culture, food. Mm-hmm. I don't even want to go. I'll just go to a Mexican restaurant. That's like close enough for me. I'd say the same thing about an Italian restaurant. I'm Italian. Just give me food. Yeah, I'm good. Brian Zimmerman asks, hey Chris, I've been a fan since Tech TV. Hello, Brian. If you were ever asked to work for Leo Laporte again, would you? Also, who's the one person you work with at Tech TV you miss working with the most? Oh, would I work for Leo Laporte? I never worked for Leo. I'd work with him again. Yeah, a guy knows a lot. He's done very well. He was able to make that leap from traditional media to new media. In fact, he's got his foot still in traditional media with the radio stuff that he does. Leo is very, very smart, one of the smartest men I've ever known. And I don't just mean smart in the sense that he's been able to pull it off. Guy knows what he's talking about. And it's very rare that you run into somebody like that. He's got chops, and I respect that. Always have. Who's the one person I worked with at Tech TV I miss working with the most? There were so many people. I enjoyed the whole experience, really. I would say the crew, my crew on my show, which was the lowest budget show, I guess, at Tech TV, Call for Help. It was the show that kind of refused to die, but it was so cheap to produce, they kind of kept it around, I think. But you know what? I was able to pull it through a couple of layoffs, made it, stretched it a couple more years, and Leo took it over again, and, it's no longer around. I'd like to reboot Call for Help at some point, Brian, and you're being a great help to that with becoming a patron. If I could figure out how to make a better go of rebooting Call for Help with the patron campaign, I would. I don't know how I could do it, though, because I can barely do what it is that I'm doing now, and I'm doing it very, very happily, but in large part because of the patrons. So I think that there's a chance of rebuilding Call for Help. I just haven't figured out the pitch on how to do it, but it definitely takes resources to survive, and you can't just count on resources that aren't related to crowdfunding anymore, unfortunately. So who knows? It may come back, or something like a Call for Help may come back. And thanks again, Brian, for asking the question and for being a patron. Brian H. asks, hey, Chris, just curious, how's your house's network set up? Are you mostly wireless, wired, routers, and switches? Do you have them on a server, etc.? He just started a new job in security systems and networking. He's interested in hearing what my setup is like. Thanks. It's a combination, honestly. I have... sometimes depending on what it is, I'll go wired. Other times I'll go wireless. I don't put a lot of devices on my network. I really don't want to, for a lot of different reasons. And so I keep everything running as lean, mean, and clean as I possibly can. It's not even a matter of convenience for me. It's just, do I really need to put this device on the network? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. That's just how it's been for the longest time. So I don't know if I really have an easy way of explaining it beyond that. I just use whatever option I have available to me, and I'm very, 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 very cautious about smart devices and putting any kind of Internet of Things device on the network. I don't even like, I've got a printer, but it's on a completely separate network. like it's on a wireless network, but not like a wireless network that I control. So wait, I've got something that I connect it to, a network that I connect it to, that I still control it, but it's like a service that you buy into, but it's the safest way to keep the printer around and on a network that kind of keeps it obscured from the other devices on my network. So I've done my best to create something that is as convenient as it needs to be. Um, but beyond that, I don't know if I'd recommend setting up the network the way that I have. But I don't want to be a network administrator. It's not what I want to do. It's not. I'm not a fan of it. It works, and I'm happy. Richard Wooding. Hey, Chris, I'd like to know what is your ultimate sandwich? Type of bread, mustard, pickles, cold meat, etc. Inspire me with the sandwich. I'm going to go with Reuben. Reuben, go with a marble rye, mayo, deli mustard, pastrami, Swiss. Yeah, yeah. Pickles, yeah, dill pickles. Fry it up. Maybe some pepperoni. That might be a bit too much. Yeah, it might be too much. I think I could do a pickle on a Reuben though. Reuben, that kind of Reuben. It's got to be just dripping with grease.
Reuben have Thousand Island dressing?
It could. I mean, there are variations on the theme. Oh, sauerkraut. You got to put sauerkraut on that as well. So the best Reuben I remember ever having, because I've had a lot of good Reubens, but we vlogged this, I think, didn't we? We went down to Olympia for an event. I was invited to speak at some event at the state. God, did we vlog this? I think we did. I remember Instagramming it. The best Reuben I ever had. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. I mean, it melted in your mouth. It was so amazing. And I said, I have to meet the guy who made this. And I told him he was like, it was a hole in the wall in Portland. No, was it Portland? No, it wasn't Portland. It was Olympia. Hole in the wall. Late at night. And I guess this restaurant had burned down like 5 times in the past, but they kept building it up again. It was so good, we went back a second day, and I got another one. Oh, God, that was so good. So I said, I got to tell you, that was the best Reuben I ever had. The best. Not all Reubens are created equal. My mom, when I was growing up, that's the first Reuben I ever had. My mom did a good job, but it wasn't the same. My mom used corned beef. It's kind of like, no. Yeah. It's kind of like biltong, Richard. You introduced me to biltong. They're all different. Reubens can be different as well. But that's my ultimate sandwich, I think. It's a go-to sandwich. Like if I see it on a menu, I don't even say, well, maybe. That's usually the one I go for, just to try it. Tommy NZ 2010 asks, Chris, who's your favorite wrestler from the past? All-time favorite wrestler from the past. I don't know if I have a favorite wrestler. I think I grew up in the heyday. The heyday? The golden age. Oh, there goes Jedi's bottle with a nipple. Do I have emergency nipples down here? I've got emergency Velcro. I've got screen cleaner. I've got face wipes. I do not have nipples. Oh. I do have... I have an emergency nipple for my daughter. There you go.
Oh, thank you.
You are welcome. Hey, when you're a dad, you got to be prepared for anything. Not heyday of wrestling, but WWF was big, and Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania, and all that. And they had the WWF cartoon. I didn't really get into it, but God, who was my favorite? I liked Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I just liked his attitude. He's kind of fun. Their personalities were larger than life. I don't know if I had one though. I really don't. Bam Bam Bigelow, another one there. Andre the Giant, Roddy Piper. I remember Junkyard Dog, the Iron Sheik. I remember a lot of these characters, and they were characters. And I hate to burst anybody's bubble, but these people are playing characters. Okay, I'm not saying that they're not doing things for real. I'm just saying they're playing characters, and I understand that. Tommy NC 2010 asks, Chris, if you could fight any Star Wars character, who would it be? Stormtrooper, because they can't shoot. Well, they can shoot. They can't hit a target. So I would want to fight them because there was a better chance of winning than if I fought a Stormtrooper. Saw a good comic the other day. It was pretty funny. It was an image of Luke Skywalker laying face down on the ground with a burn mark on his back and smoke coming out of it, and a Stormtrooper with glasses on with a rifle. He's wearing glasses. Because Stormtroopers can't see. She doesn't want any more bottle. These tongues of babes. She's learning all these new sensations, and babies discover things with their mouths. So did I when I was her age, of course, as a baby, but not so much anymore. I don't really like, stick things in my mouth to experience things. No. Now, if I was a baby, I totally would have loved putting the iPad in my mouth. But I'm not a baby. Edward Middleton asks, out of all your videos minus the vlogs, most of them are ad-libbed or scripted. Are most of them ad-libbed or scripted? Yes. Oh, yes, they're ad-libbed. Most of them are ad-libbed because I've done them live to tape. Sometimes I've done reshoots if I feel I can do them better, but I've played the scripts. But ultimately, I find that I make a better video or more myself if I don't have to go by a script. I can go by a script, but I will typically ad-lib. I enjoy ad-libbing. I enjoy doing these live videos too. Not only because I don't have to edit, but because I can just go off the cuff and go one direction or another. And I like doing these AMA videos. Wish I could do one of these every day. I really do. I wish TLDR was an AMA every day. Well, the Q&A video is an AMA every day. But those are deep dives on one topic. I just like some of these topics I wouldn't do a whole dedicated video on, but I want to interact with people. I want to answer their questions. Caitlin Kaisar asks, Chris, if you were to collaborate with any YouTuber, who would you choose and what video would you make? God, I've collaborated with a few. Not a lot of them, though. Who would I collab with? I would collab with someone who was almost completely opposite of me. Why would I want to collab with someone who's like me? I don't... That's why I like Jerry. Jerry and I, we like the same things, but we are completely different people. I like collaborating with other people who are different. So I'd go with someone completely different. Who would that be? I've never thought of this. Maybe that's why I suck. I'm working on a collaboration, though. I've got to record that video here after today's live streams in the hangout.
Shane Dawson.
Shane Dawson. Who's Shane Dawson?
Do a food taste.
We do a food taste.
Or Trisha.
Or Trisha. I know Trisha. Wow. Now, don't ever tell Trisha Paytas that I look like Rick Moranis. Don't put that thought into her mind, please. I beg you. Don't. Or do. I'd be curious to know how she responds to that. She's got to think for Rick Moranis. I know who Shane Dawson is, by the way. I was tweeting out about the Super Bowl yesterday, joking around. I'm like, boy, I don't know who this Katy Perry is, but I bet you this Super Bowl thing is going to make her career explode. And people were like, what? Are you serious? I was tweeting some funny stuff. I did. Some people didn't like that. I was being humorous. I got a lot of retweets. The most popular one is the one at the end of the game when I said, should have listened to Gandalf. You shall not pass. Man, I'm watching this game with my dad, right? And, it's coming down to it. No spoilers here, because I'm assuming that if you like football, you've seen the Super Bowl by now. That was the worst play that I've ever seen, back-to-back with one of the best plays I've ever seen. We had it. It was within our grasp. That was epic. What that was couldn't have been scripted. That was epic. Like, if that was a movie, if the end of the Super Bowl was a movie, people would have written it off as completely unbelievable. Because it was unbelievable. I mean, I'm watching it, right? And Dad and I are on our feet. We're like, oh my God, we have a chance. We're still in the game. Because it's Seahawks. Hello, Seattle. So we're watching it. And oh, wow. And then we watch it. And we see the pass. And I said, shouldn't they have run the ball in? And you know me in Sportsball. I don't care. I'm like, I know nothing. I'm not into the Sportsball thing. I don't watch football on a regular basis. It's Super Bowl. I'll watch it. And by the way, pretty much every one of the commercials sucked. And that was one of my popular tweets, too. I'm like, oh, my God, would just make the commercial stop. And this is coming from a guy who does not like sports ball. So that's the first thing I say. I'm like, shouldn't they have run the ball? He's like, yeah. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about the sport. But I know. They're on the 1 yard line. They're right there. Victory is within their grasp. They literally throw it away. Merry Christmas, Patriots. Oh, no, I know you're a Seahawk. It's okay. Here, bring her over here so they know she's not upset. She's upset because she didn't get what she wanted for Christmas. So every time I bring it up, she gets a little 4 months old. Here we go. Liz, aka Pez Liz, asks, do you have a favorite author? I love Dr. Seuss. I'm a fan of Dr. Seuss. I'm about to become a bigger fan of Dr. Seuss because we're going to be reading and listening to a lot of Dr. Seuss as we learn how to read with pictures and stories and all sorts of fun. There is an app I want to get. I guess it costs $99 to unlock all the Dr. Seuss books in it, but like it's got 50 Dr. Seuss books. So I'm going to earn up enough points to exchange and get some Dr. Seuss books that we can read and listen to on an iPad or an iPhone or whatever they make at some point in the future. I like Dr. Seuss. Timeless. Very few other authors I've liked throughout life. Because it's simple. It's fun. Yeah. And it's nonsensical, too. Very nonsensical. Like me. I'm a big nonsensical kind of guy. All right, I need to scroll to the next question, kiddo. Mark Hyder, who, by the way, sent you
Oh, I know. My
that
lid primer.
lid primer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Mark, for that.
Thank you, Mark.
He says, do you think one day you can record video on camcorder and it saves video to the cloud? Oh, yeah, easily. It'll happen. I feel that by the time Jedi's my age, certainly, but 10 years from now, I bet you anything we're going to have wireless gigabit speeds. And it's not even going to be a question. It's just going to be there. Internet is just going to be there like air, like water to a lot of us, right? So I think it'll happen. Giannis Regas asks, and by the way, Giannis, I learned how to say your name. Thank you, Liz, for letting me know, and thank you, Giannis, for telling Liz. What future unfolds for Google Plus? Is there a better future for that social platform? Do you use it more often than Facebook on daily basis? Thanks. All right, baby, are you ready for mommy again? Well, you're still kind of in a good mood. She's in a good mood. We're getting her ready for the camera. We're priming her. One day this will all be yours. Everything here. And we will have geeky discussions together. Google Plus is not dead. I don't use it, though, anymore. If I do, in fact, I can probably show you my Google Plus feed. Give me a second. I will pull it up. I don't look all that often anymore. People aren't as active on there as much. And I just got tired of the trolling. Most of my feed... Oh, I'm getting there. Don't worry. Oh, I guess, Mark, you're a brony, I see, which is cool. There's Lamar Wilson's video. I guess Nintendo sent him a DSXL. That's nice. Most of my feed, if I have anything, is going to be Star Wars stuff. So I tend to follow Star Wars circles on Google Plus because I log in, I see Star Wars, I don't see any blind hate. Generally speaking, I just got tired of reading a lot of comments about tech stuff because all I would see is just hate. I got tired of seeing hate. I'm not going to dive into it. You want to know why I don't listen to or read a lot of tech comments or follow a lot of tech on social? That's why. I'm tired of the hate. I don't want to deal with the hate. Just don't. I'm just going to... They say ignore it. I ignore it. And unfortunately, I got to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So if I take in tech content, it's typically not in that fashion. And Google Plus was great if you eat, slept, and breathed Google, but I think it's a shadow of its former self, and it's just a matter of time before Google Plus kind of transforms to something radically different. Again, whatever Google tries to figure out with it. But I was a fan of Google Plus for a lot of different reasons, but I was kind of right about it as well. And people got mad with the things I said, even though I was right about it. All right, now on to the open Facebook AMA thread. See, I'm fulfilling all of my promises. I like answering questions. This is fun. Andrew Cassabaum asks, what technology would you have liked to have been the inventor of? Boy, that'd be neat. What technology? Something that impacted people's lives. Like, I tell you, the internet is pretty transformative. And not to take away from any of the architects, but that would have been an amazing technology. And I see stuff now, something called light paper. The application's coming out soon. The idea is they combine paint with LEDs. Was that entertaining to you? And the applications are everywhere, right? Normally you would rely on like OLEDs for this kind of light, but they were showing applications of like putting something art on the wall, and then at night it turns on, but in the day it's off. Lights on the cars, lights on your wrist. It's called light paper. Amazing stuff. But you know me, I love things that glow. So the LED, would that have been neat? I think that would have been kind of neat. There you go. I'll go with LED. Very simple. I like LEDs, so I'm going to go with that. Elizabeth Bradshaw, a.k.a. Pez Liz, how has your community influenced you? It's kind of gone both ways. I mean, this video is largely, or not just video, this broadcast is only influenced by the questions people are asking and where my mind goes with those questions and answers. So I would say that they've given me hope, a belief, and also made me feel better about being myself. And I consider those who are a true part of the community for those who do respect me for being myself, not necessarily because we share the same opinions, not necessarily because we always like the same things. And I appreciate that. So that's influenced me in the sense that it made me feel better about being me. So thank you. It's nice to know you're not alone sometimes. So if I can, and I love my favorite types of tweets, my favorite types of emails, my favorite types of posts, shares, comments, whatever, are always, oh my, Chris, I started doing this because I saw you do it, or I started collecting this, or I learned this. I love that kind of influence. Some guy tweeted me a little small collection of Star Wars stuff he just started because he saw me. Another guy started collecting Lego stuff because he saw me. I don't know how many people are going to start eating biltong because Richard Wooding influenced me. So I love influencing people in that way. And so they've influenced me because you've changed my life as much as I may have changed yours. That's how it goes. It's a two-way street. Norman Strader asks, what do you think of the Gear VR? And are you maybe going to buy or test one? What do you think of VR for the future? I've talked about this before, so you can search for my answer if you want. I think it's time for Jedi to leave. What do I think of Gear VR? If I'm not mistaken, that's Samsung's take on VR. I'm not sure if it's going to work well if Samsung really doesn't see it through. It boils down to application. I think VR is fascinating. It's interesting, but there's a lot to do to make it usable past the point of a gimmick. Honestly, so that's kind of my feeling of VR right now. In the future, I think it's going to be more like a Microsoft HoloLens, which isn't really VR. I wouldn't say, at least in the traditional sense. I've not used HoloLens yet. I hope to. I actually ran into someone who works with Microsoft, specifically in a relationship with HoloLens or the HoloLens team. So, fingers crossed. I may get to try a HoloLens at some point in the future. My Surface Pro 3 review was good, so there's a chance. Who knows? VR I think is still in the arena of gimmick. There's no practical application for it yet. It's still a little not usable, quite honestly. When it's built into prescription lenses, oh yeah, I'm in. I've always said that about even Google Glass. I would have loved to have a floating clock integrated within my glasses. I would love that. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, though, sadly. Raul Lopez asks, when do you think quantum PCs will ever happen, and will it change the way we live forever? When? 100 years from now. Easily. But I would say before 100 years. Will it change the way? Dude, this has changed the way we've lived forever. I'm sorry, I did not mean to turn on Siri there. This will change the way we live forever. Right here. This pocket computer. This is insanely more disruptive than the PC. Because this is more of a PC than the PC. Not for what it's called. We're never going to call this a PC. But I'm saying this is more personal. And especially in areas of the world where all you have is the thing that you have on you, this becomes very crucial. This is disruptive. You can't carry something like that around with you. This is great if you got the space and you got the power, but most people don't. They'll have this. It's just the way it is. Am I saying this is as powerful? No. Not from a spec-wise, or not from a spec perspective. But it's not about the specs. It's about transforming. And you're asking, will it change the way we live forever? Absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt about it. I mean, I predict a time because it's this brain, science, math, technology, electricity. It's a matter of time before knowledge, not necessarily wisdom, knowledge will be attainable simply by swallowing a pill. Simply by staring into a light pattern and having it projected into your brain. I think that I really think it's going to happen. I don't even think it's a matter of if, but when. So yes, will it change the way we live forever? Absolutely. Technology, every single year, changes the way we live. That's why I love it. I love technology not because it's X gigahertz or X gigabytes. It's because it transforms lives. And typically will make the world a better place. And unless you're talking about the people who abuse technology and use it as a weapon against other people. Those people they're not even people. They're subhuman. Those who try to destroy, to me, they're not even, I don't even want to consider them a part of the human race. Because they're not. Because being human is having compassion and respecting other people. That to me is being human. Simply because you're a biological creature, simply because you eat, sleep, and breathe, to me, that's not what makes you human. It isn't. It's not what makes you human. Eat, sleep, breathe. My dog does that. Would Wicket or Pixie ever harm me? I doubt it. Not on their current trajectory. They haven't to this point, and they've been alive for about 10 years. But could a dog hurt me or harm me? Absolutely. So, it's not a biological function. Being human is not a biological function. I think it's on the other side. I think it's having compassion. I think it's understanding and respecting. And they're quote-unquote people, very loose term there, who don't understand that, and they don't have that same level of being human. So I can't consider them human, and I won't. Ross Pelton, do you consider raid punctures when setting up your backup strategy? I do not. Uthman Baksh asks, are you going to root for the Seahawks on Sunday? I did. Thread Lamont, hey Chris, just want to let you know you've impacted me in many ways, including the way I view technology. I used to look at just the specs and then make my judgment on what device was better. All that changed when you came into my life. Anyway, my question is, will CPUs keep getting faster at the rate they are shrinking? Yes. To the point where we won't even think about it. Blink, it's fast. It's so fast, you can't even calculate how fast it is. Absolutely. I mean, I think the idea of a CPU right now is crucial, but I think eventually it's going to disappear. Technology is going to find a way around the limitations that keep it tied to the past. That's the beauty of technology. It always advances. I'm talking about light on paper, right? Up until recently, the only way to get a light bulb, you had to get a classic light bulb with filament, right? Now you've got so many options, including LEDs. Most of them being LEDs, probably the better option for people. So I think technology is going to continue past the point where we need to rely on the technology and what chains us to the past. And right now, that's I think the biggest problem that technology faces in general is that for it to advance, you have to look into the future, but you have to stay tethered to the past too. You want to have this, you want it to be this fast, but if you're bottlenecked by something that is crucial to the experience, you're tied to the past. Computers were only so fast, and then, with hard drives, that was a big bottleneck. Well, then the move to SSDs. We saw an amazing improvement in terms of what we had in a PC, a traditional computer, because of SSDs. So, technology is going to certainly continue to advance, and we're going to see that bleed through just about every part of, life. Whatever technology touches, they'll become one and the same. Dominic A. Lopez, the singularity is upon us. Dominic, is it Dominic or Dominique? If I'm saying your name wrong, I apologize. She asks if I have a favorite comedian, and if so, who is it? Favorite comedian. They've committed suicide, sadly. I think Mitch Hedberg committed suicide. Richard Jeni committed suicide. If Mitch did not commit suicide, I think it was an overdose. So many great comedians. I mean, they're funny, but they're funny because they hide the pain. They're actually depressed. Not all of them. But those are people, who just made me laugh. I mean, I love listening to them. There's so many comedians. I don't know if I have a favorite. I don't know if I have a go-to comedian. I guess if I did, Weird Al Yankovic. He's a comedian. He's funny. Dominic asks, again, another question. What is your favorite Doctor Who episode? And if I'm not mistaken, Dominic, you just became a patron, so thank you. Favorite Doctor Who episode? Any of Tennant's. There. Except for I didn't like Donna as much as a companion. I wasn't a fan of Donna as much. But Tennant. Anything with Tennant in it, I was happy with. Jackson Domino asks, what do you think the best productivity app that you use? Email. Andrew Ryan Leslie asks, can I quit my job and come work for LockerGnome? Oh, I wish. Ryan Peck asks, how much do you pay for broadband? Too much. Paul Andrew Bentley asks, what would you do if they stopped making iPhones? What phone would you have instead? Well, first of all, I don't think they're going to stop making iPhones. It's a cash cow for Apple. They made 40% more profit with the new iPhones last quarter, or this, the previous quarter that they reported on. Insane. They're not going away anytime soon. If I did not have an iPhone, I'd probably be on an Android product. I don't know which one, though. Michael Eady asks, When collecting Star Wars, how do you know what is valuable and what is not valuable? What type of websites do you use, Michael? I go through a variety of resources. eBay's not exactly the best place to look up prices. There is Brian's. I think it's Brian's Toy Guide. Brian's list. God, hang on. Let me see. Brian's Toys. Give me a second. I'll get you the exact. Name. I think it's called Brian's Toys, and he does a lot of Star Wars stuff. Yeah, I think it's Brian's Toys. Yeah, since 1994, Star Wars toys, collectibles, and memorabilia. I mean, he's Brian and his whole team. I would say go there. Brian's Toys is probably the best place for you. Sanat Resali asks, I know you won't answer. Lol. Well, Sanat, you are wrong. Yakub Kureli asks, do you have a horse in your backyard? No. Kirk Broyles asks, having children changes so much of our lives. Has Jedi influenced or changed any of your perspectives on life? For me, being a father has shown me a beautiful part of humanity and truly made me a better person. I talked about this in a vlog, so I don't want to dive too deep into it, Kirk. You could watch that vlog. I mean, you may have already. I don't know. But absolutely, it changes how you look at everything. How you do everything. I'm living my life for myself, my family, and certainly my daughter. And it just changes perspectives. Yeah, slightly. But am I still the same me? I think so. Luke Murphy, what's happening about the LockerGnome app? We're still waiting to hear back for them to release an Android version. So I hope you don't mind that we're waiting on that. Negan Thiranaidu asks, why you didn't talk about Samsung Note 4? Because I didn't have one. Sometimes I don't like talking about things that I don't have. Because it's just weird. Like, if I'm showing you something, that's one thing. If I'm talking about something, it's something entirely different. And because I've been working with Verizon for a while now, it just hasn't necessarily come up. I'd like to get into more of that, but unfortunately, the devices are kind of pricey. Unless I can get a hold of a review unit, it doesn't usually happen. Jean Paul Caballero asks, why was your shortest vlog 4 minutes, somewhere between 20 and 30? Well, this is probably should have been the reason I split the vlogs out to their own channel back then. But I made it short because it seemed that most people were only tuned into the videos that I had for 3 or 4 minutes. So I cut that one short. And people got upset. I'm like, well, I only did it because the stats showed that people would only watch 3 or 4 minutes. So that was the problem with putting all sorts of videos into one channel. So now, this is the reason why the classic channel is the shorter videos, the edited CPU episodes, typically shorter. The long-form live videos are in this channel, Q&A with you and me, these geek lifestyles, and the live longer-form videos, the geek outs. And then the Pirillo vlogs now on their own channel. So it makes it easier to track stats and to know who the audience is. So that would be why. Yasser Zakani asks the same question that Nagan Thiranaidu asks, which makes me wonder, are you the same person? Omar asks a question I just answered earlier, and he also asks if I'm getting the Nexus 6. No immediate plans. Chris Voss asks, why did my wife leave me instead of being sad? I'm overjoyed. Oh, why did my wife leave me yet instead of being sad? I'm overjoyed. Chris, I have no idea. Alex Vizini asks, if a Hollywood studio wanted to make a movie about your life, would you let them? No. If so, who would you want to play? You, and who would Diana want to play her? I'd say no, because honestly, my life has not been that interesting or exciting, sadly. I could probably make parts of my life into a story, as unbelievable as that would be. But I don't think there's any part of my life that would be worth being a movie. Valid? I don't know. A couple of questions that kind of get asked every week, so I'm going to go ahead and skip them. All right. Oh, Ionian Blue. If you met the Chris Pirillo from a parallel universe, what would be the first thing he'd tell you? Don't throw the pass. But then again, I wasn't responsible for that. What would they tell me? He'd tell me, be yourself, live life, be happy. What kind of parallel Chris? How would he be different? That's the question. Because there's like infinite parallel universes. All of them are different. One Chris today could have decided to eat something different that would have given him some kind of digestive problem, and he wouldn't be able to do this live. You just never know. I mean, it could be one small thing. It could be the difference. Infinity. Jacob Biddle asks, I'm looking to getting an iPhone 6 Plus in the next month or so, and I'm eligible for an upgrade. What cases do you recommend? I have 2-year-old running around, so it needs to be tough. Oh God, Jacob, I don't know. I have not yet needed to kid-proof mine. I've been happy with the Apple case on this, and this is the first Apple case on a phone that I liked, that I used, that I kept. If I replaced it with anything, it would likely be a battery pack that had the lightning port on the bottom instead of a micro USB connection. So I'm waiting for those to be released, and they allegedly will at some point in the future. So I'm actually looking to the Apple one. Doesn't provide a lot of protection, but I don't really have, I haven't really tried a lot of iPhone 6 cases. Now that I think about it, really haven't. I've been happy with this one. I've been content. And I've dropped it a few times, but it's been relatively unscathed. So, yay. Kaylin Lovance asks, what was Baby Pirillo's first device and device to come? I don't know. I don't know. No one knows. Maybe that's what the Chris in the parallel universe will ask me. That's what he's going to ask right there. So thank you, everybody, for asking questions in the open Facebook thread, which eventually will move into the free LockerGnome app when we do release it eventually. Which reminds me, I need to drop Bing a line. He's working at the company. All right, hang on. Bing app. All right, I'll ask, because it may be sooner rather than later. And when the LockerGnome app comes out, the new one, we'll be able to take this community to a completely different level, and I'm very, very, very excited about it, because I think that's where the community is going to live. It's not going to be on a website. I think it's going to be in an app, iOS or Android at least, maybe some Windows Phone stuff, who knows. So thank you, everybody, for your kind attention. I'm going to go ahead and wind down and start to move into the patron hangout, which we do every weekday. Thank you for all your support as patrons. Or even if you're not a patron, if you're just one of my nomies, thank you so much for giving me your time and attention. It's very, very wonderful to know that you're there. As much as I might be there for you, it's nice to know sometimes that you're out there. Thank you for that. I do love you. I do appreciate you. But at this point, I'm going to leave you to your own devices.